Your clock's a little off, but there we go. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call to order the Finance and Administration Committee. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Banks?
Here.
Mr. McCormick?
Here.
Mr. Hardy?
Here.
Mr. Erickson?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Here.
I'd ask for approval of the meeting minutes from October 9th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve. Support.
Motion by Begg, support by McCormick. All in favor, aye.
Just
You want to do both?
No, just a minute. On the Finance Committee meetings, under public comment, we have where Mr. Hardy requested to go into closed session, and then we came back out again. I believe the record should indicate that who made the motion and who did the support to go into closed session, and when we came back out of closed session again, who made the motion and who made the support to do it. And realizing that the technicality, and it was the first time that our deputy clerk ever sat in on a closed session before. It's just something that technically needs to be there, I would say, and just to make that correction.
All right.
It's not a big issue, but we need to do it.
All right, with those corrections in mind, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. I'd also ask for a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the closed session, October 9th, 2025.
So moved. Support.
Moved by Erickson, support by Beggs. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Any changes to the agenda?
If we could add a motion for Materials Management Planning Committee appointment for Nuevo County appointment.
Okay. You want to put that right after 127?
If I may, this is one of those unusual boards that we're a consortium of. Whenever an appointment is made to that board by any one of the counties, it has to be approved by the other counties also. So, and it just came up, and we need to have it done by the end of the month.
25, 128?
Yes.
Yeah, 128. We'll put that after 127. Okay.
Thank you.
With those changes, I'll ask for approval of the agenda. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Is there any public comment at this time for Finance and Administration Committee?
Did anybody approve those minutes or the agenda? Did you have a first and second on the agenda?
Oh, I'm sorry. No? Okay, let's go back.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Beggs, support by McCormick. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Opposed, same. All right, moving on. Mr. Jeff Stockhill, Life EMS second and third quarter reports.
Good morning. Morning,
Jeff.
Well, thank you for taking the third quarter. I just had it available to me at the end of the week and offered it up. I didn't know for sure until Tracy emailed me back. So my cover sheet is related to the second quarter, which I'll go over first. During this period, we had 691 ambulance transports and on-scene assessments here in the county. It's a decrease of 93 if I compare it to the same quarter of last year. This year, Electric Forest Festival turned out to be a little bit busier for us with the polydrug overdoses that we were seeing there. Ended up transporting 49 total out of there. It's up 23 from the previous year, which was a low year. And there was an additional 9 patients outside of the actual venue that were directly related to it that were transported as well. National EMS Week, again, we do a huge celebration, usually falls around providing food and meals for our staff. Jim and I had our smokers fired up and provided them with ribs and pulled pork during that time period, and Vice President Craig Dodge and President Mark Meyer came up and had meals with the associates as well. We did add, you've probably heard of the Stop the Bleed kits, which are in most police officer cars, and most of the fire departments have them. We had all the equipment in our vehicles. It's as part of our state requirements. We decided to add those kits as well to our vehicles just for more rapid deployment in an active shooter type situation. So it was an addition and not a replacement of our current supplies. During this, there were 22 requests for fire standbys with 21 hours of coverage. If I go to the responses now, were there any questions that stick out regarding the exemptions that are there? It's related to the second quarter.
I don't hear any.
All right. If I move on to the third quarter, then again, there are the exemptions that are there. I'll look at our Med1 compliance is down 2% when compared to the third quarter of last year. However, our average response times are down like 20 seconds compared to that. So it shows you comparatively to moving the truck out to ferry and not having to in Hart. It actually, I believe it hurts our Med1 compliance, but our overall average response time is not showing a significant effect at all. So we're happy with that part of it. Is there anything that stands out or that I could address for you on that?
Third quarter. And how's Golden then there? I didn't see one for Golden.
Just aspects, I mean, it comes down to most of the time, if we're not at the station, there's going to be that if the Hart truck is out or if that ferry truck is out, the ferry truck in particular, we're not going to make those responses out to that southeast side of the county, period.
Yep.
And if you get into the Lake Shore, Golden, it's hard to make some of those. Winona, very hard to make those when we get out there. Anything else that I could? And again, if anything arises in between these reports, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to look into any issues on a more timely basis if they occur.
Thanks, Jeff.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. A lot different than a few years ago, isn't it?
It is, and it's amazing when you get to work with some commissioners a while. There's a little more community or a little more teamwork versus contractor and boss. So it's very much appreciated.
Are you riding the buses much?
I am a little bit. I am. Honestly, I don't mind it if I can do it on my schedule. That's usually not the way it works out. But I still actually, after all these years, enjoy that aspect of it. And when I'm done with this position, I may do that just part-time. So,
Cool. Thanks,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, moving on. Mr. Vandevries, Equalization Director, consideration of adoption to approve the 2025 appointment report of millage rates and Form L4402.
Good morning. It's the apportionment report. I think you said appointment.
Sorry.
That's okay. Does anyone want a hard copy? I brought some. If you're like me, I prefer looking on the computer so I can make the screen as big as possible. So the annual apportionment meeting occurs every October. This is to actually approve or authorize the local jurisdictions, taxing jurisdictions throughout the county to collect their taxes this year. Some have already been collected on the summer levy. So this includes those that have been collected and then also what will be collected on the winter taxes. The primary purpose for equalization, there's a form that I prepare early in the year in May that it's the L4028 and the 4028 IC, which is an inter-county report. and that generates what's called the millage reduction fractions. The under Headley, local units that tax can only receive revenue from greater than last year equal to the inflation rate. And if the tax base has grown such where the revenue is going to be greater than the inflation rate, then it's the responsibility of the equalization and through you to make sure that the millage rates have been reduced. So a lower millage rate against a larger tax base tempers the increase in the taxes being collected, so that the revenue being collected does not exceed the inflation rate. The only exceptions to that are for new construction. So new construction is local units can collect more revenue to account for the increase to the tax base based on that new construction. But as far as the market adjustments, the properties that sell throughout the year, all the properties that sold last year that caused an uncapping of the taxable value, that's where that tax base increased. And if enough of those properties sell and the tax base increases, that causes the millage reduction fraction to kick in. This was a unusually high year for, we only had maybe 2 out of all the taxing jurisdictions that you see on this report that did not have their millage rates reduced with a millage reduction fraction. And so, and this year, I have to apologize. I think it was at your last meeting, had to approve a revised L4029. And that's because each one of the line items, each one of these taxing jurisdictions, I have a separate spreadsheet for every unit of government where I take that millage reduction fraction. I have to plug in what was collected on the L4029 from last year. And then if there was an election to update the millage, because that's another way to collect more than what would be allowed with the millage reduction fraction, or for renewed millage rates. And that's what happens. I have to actually hand enter those for every taxing jurisdiction. And when the county approved or renewed the 0.1 mil for the, I think it was the seniors or the veterans.
Veterans. Yeah.
When I went through, I put in 1 mil instead of 0.1 mil, which is why once the millage reduction fraction, which was 0.0987 or something like that, it applied it to a 1 mil rather than 0.1. And it would have actually generated an extra couple of $1 million of revenue that they should not be collecting this year. Luckily, it was actually Benona Township's treasurer caught it. So, well, a lot of people saw it, and it's just one of those things where it was missed. So, thankfully, it was caught before we actually billed it. We've actually sent out tax bills with an incorrect millage rate, and there's a process for fixing that and applying a refund on the next tax bill if that does happen. So, and I guess the good thing is that was the only, at least so far that I've heard, was the only hand entry mistake that I made this year. So I try to do them all right, but it doesn't always go that way. Anyway, the report. Also, when you look at this report, keep in mind that this is for ad valorem taxes only. It does not include the taxes that are going to be collected for the special acts roll, so properties that are receiving industrial facilities tax exemption. We have a couple of what are called rehabilitation exemptions. They don't pay the full tax rates, but they are on a separate roll. So this portion one, and it's also based on the taxable value as of when we equalized. back after the March Board of Review in March. So this taxable value excludes all of the veterans exemption that were in place at the time when the Board of Reviews all were completed by the local townships and the City of Hart. But there's been a lot more veterans that have moved or purchased homes in Oceana County. Those would, they're prorated in the first year, but there's probably, many more exemptions to the from the tax levy that you see here. But those all get a adjustment that are accounted for between the local treasurer and the county treasurer when it comes to settlement time. So there's a starting number, and these are the starting numbers that everybody works from, and then there's adjustments and the paperwork to go with it. And Mary Lou is great to work with as far as keeping things balanced. And the one thing that is always changing is the homestead and non-homestead, or PRE, non-PRE properties. That's a constantly changing number when people move in or out, or they change their permanent residence. So whether or not they are exempt from the 18 mil school operating tax. So that number really gets changed a lot. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, because when we do the millage reduction fraction for the operating millage rate for the schools, it uses the number generated from our system from last year to this year, but again, it's at one single point in time. But because most of the operating millage rates, we have several schools that have actually voted to have a millage rate greater than 18 mils, even though 18 mils is the maximum. But they do that so that even if they have a millage reduction fraction, we have some that have been reduced over the last couple of years, where their maximum allowed is like 19 point something. So you can still only collect 18 mils. Again, that is only paid by the non-residents, and commercial businesses pay 6 out of the 18 mils. They get exempt from 12 of those mils. So, does anybody have any questions?
Mr. Hardy, Mayor? Ed, when I look at this each year, it's of interest to me in the community that I live in. I was village president there for 11 years before I came on the county board. And at that time, we were operating at just under 8 mils for the village. Well, this board approved the annexation of Double J Ranch into the village of Rothbury. And I look at the millage now after the negotiation that the village of Rothbury did with Electric Forest, and on the ticket surcharges, and also the increase in the taxable value of the condominiums and everything else on the Double J property. And we were at 8 mils. The village of Rothbury now is running at 4.93 mils. So they've cut their tax rate by about 30%, provide more services with it. And at the same time, one of the services that they provide with the Electric Forest is residential garbage pickup for every residence in the village of Rothbury. So, we look at development and sometimes we wonder about it, but it's been very, very positive for the village of Rothbury annexing Double J Ranch and being able to cut the property taxes by 1/3 and provide more services for them. And I look at it something that I take some pride in too, because I knew the owners of Double J Ranch. They were personal friends of mine when they hit some bumps in the road, and they asked, what their options were, and annexation was one thing we discussed that they followed through with, and it's worked quite well for both sides. So, thank you, Ed.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad you brought that up, because I speak with many of the supervisors and a lot of the treasurers village managers. And one of the things I get questioned is when I prepare, I do this as a courtesy. As you saw on your L4029, it says prepared by Edward Vandervries. It's something that I'm not required to do. I just do that because it helps. I have to check those numbers anyway. So if I prepare them, and as long as I didn't make a mistake in them, I know the numbers are usually, correct. I don't have to go back and see if the local unit prepared it properly. But one of the questions I get is, when I prepare it, I usually fill it out for them to collect the maximum allowable, and that's really what the function of the millage reduction fraction is to reduce that maximum allowable millage rate. And they always say, do we have to collect that? And I always tell them, I said, no, you can always collect a millage rate less than the maximum. You just can't collect more than the maximum without going back to the people for a vote. But I always advise them, look at your budget. I mean, look at your reserves, and if you don't think you need to collect the maximum, like the village, collect something less. It does not change what your maximum allowable is going to be next year. So that's up to every taxing jurisdiction to look at their budgetary needs for the upcoming year, and then determine if they can levy something less.
And the other thing that I didn't say was it has allowed the village of Rothbury to have what amounts to 2 full-time police officers there. And we were all part-time before. So it's been pretty positive.
So it's a good way for each community to determine where it is they do want their taxes to go to. And there's either two ways, because in order for local units to, when they sign the L4029 and submit it to our office and the county clerk to be approved by you through the apportionment report, they're basically saying that they've done one of two things. They've either held a truth and taxation hearing, which allows the local citizens to have a say when they're discussing the millage rates, or many of the local units, I've provided them some language as part of their budget hearing. So as long as they, through the budget process, address that they intend to levy up to the maximum as reduced by Headley, and the taxpayers of that jurisdiction have an opportunity to talk about their millage rates, that satisfies that requirement. So they can't just levy a millage, without having the taxpayers have some input and have that addressed. So that's one of the other things we do, is we make sure that the local units have done one of those two things, either included the language in their budget hearing, public hearing, or held a separate truth and taxation hearing.
Any other questions, comments?
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Now, moving on, Mr. Kelly, memorandum of agreement with MSUE Services and quarterly report.
Good morning, James
Morning.
Kelly, District Director, MSU Extension. You have electronic copies of both the documents that are on the agenda. Normally I don't dig too much into the specifics of the contract. Hasn't changed in the 7 years that I've been with MSU Extension. I did pull up my notes. That contract, of course, is based on the budget that was submitted back in July, the budget request at least. And what struck me this morning as I was kind of reviewing those notes was that it reflects just a 3% increase from the contract that we had back in 2017, so prior to my time. So I think that's a good reflection of trying to be responsible, of course, for the resources, recognizing that it is a big investment for the county, which ties into the good timing in presenting that quarterly report in terms of just giving you some evidence of return on investment. So I'll focus just on a few of the highlights of that quarterly report. And take any questions. 4-H continues to operate very well. Jennifer Payne has now been up in the community, I think, for a little over a year in terms of this role. She's lived in the community prior to that, but doing very well in her operation of our primary youth programming in the county. Our investment in the ag continues to be significant, as you would expect. So in having now 3 educators in the area, we added our ag irrigation specialist up in Mason County, who is certainly doing a lot of work in the region, including utilizing the research station. So combining our fruit educator, our vegetable educator, and the irrigation educator continues to be a focus on supporting the growers in the area. So I'm just flipping through the pages here, not going to necessarily reference all of them because you can read through this report at some point. I do want to touch base on the SNAP ag piece. It's about midway through the report, because that's the important piece which I've been kind of pointing out to all the county boards that I interact with. So it was back in October 1st, or prior to that, of course, with the passing of the beautiful big bill across the state of Michigan. MSU had to eliminate 94 positions related to community nutrition. So those were positions funded through the SNAP Ed grant, federal grant, 100% federally paid for. So these folks were responsible for providing nutrition and health training to preschools, school-age children, seniors, really anyone who is receiving SNAP benefits regarding how to eat healthy, how to get more bang for your buck in terms of investing those dollars. So October 1st, we had to release our local person, Lisa Fleury, who had been in our office for I think about 3 years, and had been working with school systems and working in the farmers markets and generally out and about working with preschools and I believe the Head Start program in Oceana County. So we're in this phase, this challenging phase, where we are kind of internally analyzing what can we do to kind of plug that gap. Seeking alternative funding, of course, is a challenge right now. There are lots of organizations and agencies that would appreciate additional funding. So where that goes, it's tough to say right now, but we are certainly committed, having had that grant for 30 years, to have that service all of a sudden eliminated leaves a significant gap in terms of community nutrition. So we're committed to kind of to continue to look at what we can do to plug that gap. Beyond that, you continue to get support from staff who are located outside of Oceana County, coming up to provide programming. So I saw obviously disease prevention education with Oceana Healthbound Coalition. Our water resources educator based out in Nuevo County continues to do a lot of water-related studies in Oceana lakes and streams, and again, lots of resources coming into the county from outside, but within the broader extension network. And finally, just a quick plug community event-wise, and I think that's something that we continue to kind of look to engage, of course, broadly in the community. Sunday afternoon at the research station, Tractor and Treats, if you have kids. Kind of a nice little event to kind of draw community folks together with an ag theme. So I believe that starts at 3, but don't quote me on that. So happy to take any questions.
And you've got a horse show coming up Saturday.
We do.
Mm-hmm. End of the summer, end of the season.
Yep, and a good season, certainly with the fair and the fairground, and lots of activities and strong programs. So I appreciate the support, not just of the fair, but of course the commission and the county, because we couldn't do it without you guys.
And a record auction sale. The large market sale.
Very successful.
James, I noticed on email coming across in an article on the MSU website on the importance of doing soil sampling this time of the year, you know, and it wasn't too long ago that we thought the soil testing and sampling and evaluation were going to be all done away with.
Yes.
And I know you worked very hard to keep that. So is it something that you do a lot of?
Yeah, the broader university made the decision to kind of end that service and close their lab. So we now contract with an outside lab, but we're providing the kits and the interpretation and the resource to the local growers, both on the commercial and the home horticultural side. But yeah, out of the office we sell I have to look at the annual report in terms of quantities, but it's still an important service to lots of folks for different reasons.
Well, for somebody like me who just has, a half a dozen apple trees or so, it's a very nice service that I can just stop by and I can pick up the test kit and take
Right.
the sample and mail it out.
Yeah, as much as we can retain local access to make it easier, I think technically there's probably a way to order a soil test online somehow, but as we know, a large part of the population that we serve is not really keen to jump online to engage with services, so we're kind of continuing to kind of provide both options as much as we can.
Thank you, James.
Any other questions? Comments?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Administrator Biard, consideration to enter into agreement with American Classic for the transfer station operations.
So, as all of you know, this has been coming, and we reached out to the county attorney, asked them to put an agreement together, working off the agreement that was provided by Jake from American Classic. So that document that is in your packet is the one that came from county council. Jake has reviewed that and he's agreed to it, and he has signed. So we're asking that the board approve this document today. We need to decide on a date on when you want them to take over. They are ready to start transferring the electric and internet and credit cards over into their name once we've made that decision. There's still some excavating and the fence that needs to be taken care of out there. Fence is due in, I believe, November 12th, so they'll be working on it at that time. So I don't know if the board wants to look at possibly December 1st as a takeover date.
That sounds reasonable to you, Joel?
We had a big push for cleanup out there and we made a lot of progress, but now it's kind of stalled. And I think we need to re-energize that, and I'm wondering if, and maybe December 1st is long enough. But I think it would be best if we could kind of have that piece of it wrapped up, so when we switch over, the counties, we agreed to get that cleanup stuff done, everything off the ground, and we're not there. And Jake has pushed that along, but like I say, he's got so many things going on, and I think he had a lot of energy in the beginning and made a lot of progress, but it's tapered off, and there's a fair amount to do yet. But we do need to have a start date on it. I'm just wondering about the cleanup portion of it.
Okay. Joel, does it make sense to do a tentative date of December 1st? Just call it the tentative date, so that's, that we're gonna shoot for that. And if we do have to push it back a week or so, we can do it from there. Does that make sense to the board members?
Maybe we could communicate with Jake and tell him that, we want him to push and get that done, so that that area is cleaned up. It'd be another, kind of a deadline, something to shoot for to get that piece of it done.
One of the issues out there right now is the oil cleanup. We had the big tubs brought out there for us to dump all the oil in. And I can tell you that Janice probably made 3 phone calls to them. We've talked to them about coming to pick them up. They still haven't done it. So we will make that phone call again and find out what's going on.
Safety clean?
Yep.
Okay.
Do you have a contact there?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
I'll call when I get back.
Maybe you could both.
How about Kenny? Is he done?
He hasn't started,
Okay.
has he? As far as I know, he hasn't started yet.
No, he has not. I reached out to them and they were supposed to start this week, but we haven't heard anything on that, so. And Brian said he hadn't heard from him either.
And the gate and fence is the 12th.
Yep, that is, yeah, I've signed the paperwork with them and we're all set.
We really need to have that tree removal done, because it's close proximity, and I don't think we wanna,
Do you want me to call him?
yes,
I have a relationship with him. I will call him today.
that'd be helpful.
I'll call Safety Clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think December 1st would be a good target date.
Yep.
Kind of give them a deadline.
There won't be outside work going on,
No,
you know, Christmas and snow and.
right. December 1st is good. Give them a target date anyway, so.
One thing I want to point out to my fellow board members is, at the end of one sentence, towards the back of the agreement, there is a statement that if we do dissolve our agreement with American Classic, that anything that's on the jobs or anything that's on the site at the time that agreement is dissolved, it's the responsibility of American Classic to remove it. So, and they were in agreement with that also, that, if there's a big pile of appliances or whatever there, it's their responsibility to take care of it, so we won't get hooked, down the line with it.
It's under section 6, it's the last sentence in that. The other,
And there is just a mild payment to the county each month, as you probably saw in there, to
$100.
$500, and that's to take care of our accounting and the record keeping and the other things that we have that we're responsible for.
I think it looks pretty good. A lot of work went into that.
So-
That agreement? Yeah.
the other question is, how long do you want this contract to be for?
Joel, you're more in this business. I don't think 5 years is unrealistic. Do you, Joel?
No.
No, I think that's,
3 is just kind of short for
yeah.
the investment for them, so, and we have a way out if it's not working, we give them a notice and it's done, but, so I think 5 years
Yeah.
is a good number.
That's why I've seen them before.
My understanding of reading through this, we still have some control over the costs to residents, so we still maintain some ability to make sure it's a service to our residents and not it's a service regardless, but a reasonable service.
So it doesn't become a burden.
Right. We certainly want to keep this a viable option as opposed to dumping trash out in Fed Forest and I've traveled plenty of 2 tracks and seen piles of tires and mattresses and trash, and that's infuriating, so.
And the cost, it's not cheap to go anymore, and, when Crystal increased their rate, the service went down, but, they're moving away from Republic and headed towards American Classic, and more recycling is another thing, and American Classic's been very good with Newfield Township, so I think that best foot forward.
Mr. Hardy's right. There was a lot that went into this.
Yeah,
And
it's been a long time.
I can't tell you how valuable Mr. McCormick, with his background on this, has been for all of this going in. And with the contract, with the cleanup, with the things that need to happen, or with the equipment. He had the knowledge on how to deal with all of that.
Yeah, we didn't have to buy a backhoe, and there's a lot of positives in this.
Has the forklift been picked up yet?
We haven't had any bites on it with Michigan Cat. they have three of them actually listed in ours, you know, three similar lifts, and according to the salesman, they haven't had any interest on any of them. But I think we have a deal with Jake, and I talked to Michigan Cat about it, and they said if we make a deal with American Classic, Cat will just take off the commission. They're not gonna ask for a commission on it. You know, we can just go direct to them. So I think that's what we're gonna end up doing, because we just haven't had any action on it.
Is there a concurrence on the board members that Mr. McCormick be allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so there's no question, Joel, just go ahead and, if you can work out a deal with,
I think Jake and Tracy can figure out the conflict between them.
If you can work it out, just make it happen, and we'll
And
have it.
I'll just let Michigan Cat know that we're gonna take it off.
So,
yeah.
He said they didn't have, no offense. He said if he had a way to sell it, go ahead and do it.
Good. All right. Any other? All right, Administrator Biard, appointments for the Board of Canvassers.
A letter has been submitted by, our county clerk, and she has provided, recommendations for the canvas board, and those are listed on there as, Cynthia Fout and Kathleen Schneider, I believe, were the ones that, yes. Those are the ones that she is requesting to be reappointed to those positions.
Questions or comments?
another one of the boards we think never has anything happening at, that we all know from the first meeting that we were at. It can be an interesting board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Administrator Biard, consideration to accept and sign a grant agreement for cybersecurity with the Michigan State Police.
This is a request from our IT department. Amy is asking that the board accept and sign an agreement with the Michigan State Police for a cybersecurity grant in the amount of $19,031, a no match grant.
What, is there a deadline on that? I didn't see anything in the document. Well, maybe, hang on there.
It says federal award date is was 12/17 of 23, so the budget period is from August 29th to 8/31 of 27.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Any questions? Yes. Okay. Administrator Biard, MD HHS appointment for the medical care facility.
As you know, we have an open appointment on the medical care facility board, and that position was posted in the paper, and we did not receive any additional applications other than the two that were provided. So. The board would like to move forward with questions for the two applicants.
Any questions or comments?
Mr. Hardy, may I?
Yes.
Well, when the administrator and I were talking about appointment to the board, I suggested that if both applicants are here, we give the applicants the opportunity to address us on why they would like to be on the board. And then after that is done, that each one of the commissioners be able to ask a maximum of 2 short questions, if they have any at all, of the applicants. And then after we talk to both of the applicants, we can work on making a decision.
Concur. Gonna do that during the regular meeting? Or no?
I think we should do it now.
No?
Well, what's the board member's pleasure? I think we have time to
I
do
think
it
we have
now.
time to do it now.
And the applicants are both here.
Okay. Ladies first? Okay.
Good morning.
Thank you for engaging us in this process. It's a very important decision that you make. As you know, I'm not a long-standing member of Oceana County, having moved here just over 4 years ago. I've also not served on any governmental boards in the past, but what I do believe I have is a different perspective and approach to management problem solving. Having been fortunate enough to graduate from Michigan State University and subsequently working there for more than 33 years in the Department of Medicine has provided me with a unique set of skills. In addition to understanding the medicine part of the medical care, I managed 2 outpatient clinics and a cardiovascular fellowship program. As such, I was responsible for supervising approximately 30 staff members and 100 physicians. This was not the role I hired in for all those years ago, but a role that I was an active part in building, refining, and nurturing. To that end, let me be clear, I do not want to be involved in the day-to-day running of the medical care. My tenure at MSU was enough. I think it is important that in addition to addressing the needs of OCMCF, we also need to look at the other side of the DHHS board. Both of these entities are close to my heart. The DHHS portion is not nearly as clear as the medical care. My family became a foster family when I was 10 years old. We took in many abused, neglected, and disadvantaged children, and in fact adopted 3 of them. As a teenager in high school, this had a profound impact, particularly when, during the process of adopting my younger sister, I was often responsible for taking her to court-ordered visitation with her biological parents. This provided me a different look into the workings of DHHS. As far as the medical care, I believe you are all well aware of my association with and passion for the well-being of the residents of this facility. While my mother is no longer a resident, I have a deep and abiding respect and desire to serve the residents, staff, and indeed the residents of Oceana County in this capacity. I feel so strongly about this that when there were temperature control issues in the memory care, I purchased digital thermometers and logged temperature differences in various parts of the unit. In this way, I was able to verify the issues and use that data to address the DHHS board, as well as this board to find a resolution. Last winter, continued boiler problems led to a disruption of heating in parts of the main section of the building, which went on for days. Preventative maintenance is just one example of a systemic issue that needs to be carefully evaluated and addressed. People live here. They need better. They deserve better. What I am seeking is greater accountability of the administration of this facility. Whether it is about heating, billing, accounts, or nursing care, I want to hear what the residents and staff have to say and be a part of the larger issues. I understand that this board is responsible for the oversight of the administrative. That is where everything begins and ends. Thank you for your consideration. As always, it is my pleasure and privilege to be a part of this special place and will continue to be regardless of today's decision. Questions?
Any questions?
So I have one question that I'll ask both candidates. And maybe your remarks there addressed it, but like your probably top 2 issues that you, with your current knowledge of operations, the board, what would be like one of your top 2 items that you would like to see addressed or dealt with?
So I think one of the biggest ones is their net loss, their net operating loss. There needs to be an explanation for why that continues to occur. And the other thing is there's a big part of this, the maintenance part, that they continue to have these maintenance problems crop up, and there's not a good solution in place. They shouldn't lose heat for days. and they shouldn't be waiting for parts for days. I think those are huge.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
Joel?
I'm wondering, you said you don't want to be involved in the day-to-day.
Mhm.
How are you going to approach the heating issue without being involved with the day-to-day?
I think there needs to be more accountability when they come to the meeting.
Accountability from which person?
From the administrator
Okay,
to follow it back.
okay.
Mhm.
Often people that get to the, how can I tactfully say this? Often people in retirement like to go into warmer climates or go, leave the area, during the cold time.
Mhm.
I don't know if you go, someplace south or someplace west or Hawaii or someplace for the winter. If you do, is that gonna create a problem with being on the board, with only having 3 board members?
It will not. As you all know, we travel together. But no, that would not be a problem. I do not go anywhere south or west or anywhere for the winter. If I did, I would come back for the meetings.
Okay.
I have nothing else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Linda. All right, Randy? Randy Newton?
I was here a couple weeks early, apparently. The last time, 2 weeks ago. My motivation for seeking this position is after spending 30-plus years in emergency medical services, seeing the conditions of the elderly and concern for their care has become important to me, and that is the overwhelming reason that I am applying for this position is the care of the patients at the medical care facility. They are very important people and need the best care possible. And I recently became aware that for the first time, I believe, in the history of that facility, it has a 5-star rating from the state. That has to say something about the patient care that is continuing there. And that's the only comments that I have right now. I'll take your questions.
Yeah. So what top 1 or 2 with your current knowledge of the board and the facility, what are your top 1 or 2 things that you would seek to address or look into?
As far as things, the maintenance of the building, I spent close to 35 years as the electrical inspector in this county. I spent a lot of hours in that facility during the 2 recent constructions of the Alzheimer's unit and the remodeling in addition to the facility itself. And so maintenance, I would be somewhat familiar with how to handle that and improve on it if necessary. And so I do have a background in that part of it. As far as the day-to-day operations, that's the administrative director of nursing and department heads. That's their positions. Joel, you had a question at one time.
On the day-to-day?
On the day-to-day? Yeah, I think I addressed that. That's administration. That's not a board member's job.
Yeah. But my question to Linda, I guess, is, and I can ask you the same thing, is, how do you see an issue that needs to be addressed and not get involved in the day-to-day?
I guess that, yeah, it reaches a point where you have to be involved to some degree, and you know, there's 3 members, and I've always thought that a majority rules, so that's the way any major issues that came up would have to be handled. Any other questions?
I had the question about, you know, during the winter time, you know, in the meetings, you know, then with only 3 board members, it's pretty tough if somebody's gone for 4 months or 5 months.
You know, for 15 years, we spent 3 months in Florida. We decided that we'd had enough of that, so we typically don't travel out of the state in the wintertime. And if we do happen to be out of the area when a board meeting comes up, that won't happen.
I hope neither one of the candidates get a misconception on how I asked that, because every one of us board members occasionally miss a board meeting. You know, those things, we have to have a life outside the boardroom. And the same thing as the people on the Department of Health and Human Services Board. They have to have a life outside the boardroom. It's totally recognized. And the reason that I brought that up is because you've probably heard me, if you've been in this room before, being on the Health Department board that meets in Cadillac, or being on the Oversight PA2 board that meets in Holland. I have driven all the way to Cadillac twice this year for meetings on people who said they were going to be at those meetings and they weren't there, and we couldn't handle them. And I have driven, same person down in Holland, I've driven down to Holland, and we couldn't have meetings because the people said they were going to be there and they couldn't. So it's bad enough with just having, you know, a 5-member board, but a 3-member board, it's dependent on, there's a lot of responsibility for everybody on a 3-person board.
Not long ago, I went through the state regulations regarding this board, and if I remember correctly, 3 consecutive meetings missed. That person needs to be replaced, or should be replaced, or is required to be replaced.
Okay.
So that solves that problem, I think.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments for Mr. Newman?
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
All right, Administrator Biard, review of selected claims for payment and administrator report.
The claims for payment have been provided for you. Is there any questions on those?
No.
And the only other thing, other than what's in the packet with regards to administrator's report, is I wanted to touch on the tax allocation board just a little bit. This is something that we're going to need to have a meeting of the tax allocation board convened next year prior to May 12th, because the Board of Commissioners will need to approve a resolution in order to be placed on the ballot, and that has to be done prior to May 12th. Melanie and I have been talking about this a lot. I've reached out to County Council to make sure that we're doing everything correctly. The 2 positions most important for the Board of Commissioners is the Finance Chair, as you are a member of that board, and the Board of Commissioners will need to appoint someone outside of the county for that board. That also includes several others, the County Treasurer, a member of the ISD. I can't think of all of them right now, but I have them listed. And this only has to do with the county millage, township millage, and the school millage, the ISD. As you know, we do resolutions and motions for the other millages, so we don't, those aren't, don't have anything to do with this, but they will need to be convened prior to May 12th and approved by the board.
Okay.
Yeah. Tracy, I think the other appointment that the county board does is a county resident who is not involved in county government or associated with county government. Is
Correct.
that what it is?
Yes.
No.
There's a member of the township, which we reach out to the MTA and they select a township supervisor. And the probate judge also selects someone as well for that. So,
Okay.
okay, that's all I have.
All right. Oh, we had the addition of 128.
Management.
Paul, do you want to do that?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
You don't have to do that till the board meeting yet.
Mhm. Very
But
good.
it's, just what this is, as you know, we have I believe it's a 21-member board, and that is made up of the surrounding counties along with Oceana. We all have, certain members that are on that board, and if an opening comes up, then the county's responsible for getting a person to replace them, and then each one of the counties have to approve
Okay.
for those positions, so.
All right. Department head reports.
The sheriff had a successful hunt out west.
Yeah.
I've been out of town for a little while, I really don't have much for you.
That was a rack.
All right, moving on. And then public comment at this time for Finance and Administration Committee. Hearing none, we will adjourn the Finance and Administration Committee and take a break until 11:30 to start the regular board meeting.